Good afternoon and welcome to this hearing for the Invercargill City Council's Dangerous, Affected and Insanitary Buildings Policy. We have no apologies, everybody is present. Councillor Soper, Councillor Bond and Mrs Coote. We make up the committee. Are there any declarations of interest? No. None? Then we'll move on to the submissions. We did have one submitter who was going to be appearing in front of us, but we've had contact from them this morning saying that they aren't going to be appearing. There's nothing else, Michael, what they've wanted to submit. They're just happy with the written submission?
They're content with their written submission, Mr Chair.
Right. We could go through and look at the policy piece by piece, but we can actually, I'm quite happy to take it as read that not only the committee has read the policy but been through all the written submissions. I found it an interesting process when I was going through not only the public health submission that was going to be heard, but also all the written submissions, and just making notes on the way in, and then getting to the potential responses that can come from staff as a result of points raised in the submission, and I did modestly quite well. I guess one of the things that we need to be cognizant of is, and we're putting together a policy, it's constrained by an assortment of acts, some of which, and some of the suggestions fall outside those boundaries, and the responses sit in what we'll get to shortly. We'll start with the summary of submissions. Simply like to move that it's received. Councillor Soper, Mrs Coote, thank you. So we received the report and the, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Do you mind if I change that to receive the report?
It's fine.
Thank you. Put that all in favour?
Aye.
Now that we receive the submissions, which are now all written, Councillor Soper and Mrs Coote again, any discussion? Put that all in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Now we get to the summary of submissions, and again, look, I thank the staff for taking the time to go through. It's not the verbatim response that goes to the submitters, but it does summarise and recognise some of the points that are made in the submissions. There are some things that fall outside of our scope, and that's recognised. So somebody like to move that we receive that summary of submissions? Councillor Bond? Councillor Soper. Any points you'd like to raise as a matter of what's in the summary? Mrs Coote?
Just one, just around the National Public Health submission in regards to sort of, some of it was slightly out of scope around squatters and things like that, but I could see the relationship. So I think even though there was a lot of interest in this in depth, I just thought some was sort of outside the act itself.
Yeah, I agree. And look, their submission in particular was quite thorough, and you know, we're grateful for that, but suggesting that we adopt guidelines into the policy is like handing over responsibility to us for doing their job. Yeah. Yes. Which, you know, given that we're all aware that every ministry faces financial challenges, but you know, we're no different at being responsible for the ratepayers, so that was something I'd noted. Thank you very much for that. Any other points that the committee wish to raise? Sorry, Michelle, did we have a mover and seconder for receiving the summary? Yep. Cool. I'll put that all in favour?
Aye.
Against? The next part is item 5, which is, do we either agree or disagree with the proposed changes? A is amending the definition of heritage buildings. B, adding the provision to specify compliance with section 1252F. C, amending the statement in assessing a building which is classified by Historic Places New Zealand. And D, amending sections of council's responsibility over dangerous, affected or insanitary buildings. We go below D. No, we'll do that next. So, moving A, B, C and D. Agree or
That way.
disagree? Agreeing with those?
Agree.
Thanks, Leslie. And Rania, any comments or questions around that? If not, then I'll put that motion. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? And the final item is to recommend to council that we adopt the policy with the changes as we've just agreed to in resolution 5, which I'll move.
I'll
Leslie,
second.
thank you. Any comments? God, I wish all hearings were this easy. I'll put that then. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Councillors, that concludes the business for this hearing, which is way quicker than we expected. To those who took a moment, join us on the live stream. We'll bring you a full version of a committee meeting coming up at 3 o'clock. But thank you for your interest, and again, thank you to all those people who did take the time to send in a submission. I'll declare the hearing closed.